Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Dr. Kim Sei-wan, professor of economics at Ewha Womans University. Professor Kim, thank you as always for coming on.
Good afternoon, Devin.
So addressing the American people last night, our time, President Trump said that instead of striking back at Iran for its missile attack, he'll impose extremely tough sanctions. This would seem to alleviate some concerns, but Iran is already under all kinds of sanctions. What options does President Trump have?
So U.S. and Iran decided to back away from further military conflicts. I think it is really good news to global economy because the crude oil is the single most important natural resource. As you pointed out, Evan, Iran is already under very tough economic sanctions from U.S. So additional options of Mr. Trump would be imposing sanctions on Iraq, which is the neighbor of Iran. And also, Mr. Trump can demand more restricted trade between European countries and Iran.
Yes, indeed. Well, as we just heard, with war averted for now, oil prices are coming back down, uncertainty relieved in the financial markets. What's the story today in terms of the markets and oil prices especially?
Well, after all, this episode reminds us again the importance of crude oil in modern economy. And thanks to Mr. Trump's pulls back from war with Iran today, global oil price, like Western Texas Index, surged over 5% in a single day. But yesterday, global oil price used to drop down to 5% for the increased tension between United States and Iran. So, broadly speaking, global oil market has been pretty much stabilized.
Yeah, and this sort of mood, if you could talk a little bit more on these issues, this mood will have a positive impact on the financial markets. Tell us about that.
Yes, yesterday Kospi of Korea dropped over 1% in a single day due to Iran's missile attack on U.S. military base in Iraq. Korean stocks are particularly sensitive to oil price because Korea is importing 100% of crude oil, and 70% of it is from Middle East countries. But today, Kospi recovered the previous loss of yesterday with over 1.6% increase. So this kind of recovery situation well spread out all major stock markets.
Yes, indeed. Across the board, pretty much back up from that dip we saw earlier in the week. But now, in other news, the World Bank is estimating economic growth this year globally to be the weakest since 2009 in the financial crisis. But it's forecasting a pickup in 2021 and 2022. Why would growth be so weak this year?
Actually, 6 months ago, World Bank released global economic forecast was 2.7%, but World Bank this time updated it with 0.2% decreased global economic growth of 2.5%. I believe that they see more negative factors on international trade, particularly from U.S.-China trade conflicts and slowing economies into power economies, particularly in Asia and Europe, like China and Germany, respectively.
Yeah, China clearly a factor there, poised to go down below 6% growth next year, which would have huge impact. But now here in Korea, the government for this year has a so-called super budget aimed at stimulating the economy. More than 71% of the budget will be spent in the first half of the year. But it's running on the country's biggest ever deficit, so there are concerns about that. Is that something to worry about?
I believe expansionary fiscal policy is necessary, something under recessionary phase of Korean economy. And it is also understandable that government stimulates economy by spending over 70% of its budget in the first half of this year. But government spending is mostly focused on one-shot, temporarily job creation for a young and old generation without promoting the private firms and workers' productivity. But we know that government can't spend money like this forever. So there should be something promoting private sectors decent job creation by improving more business-friendly environment and production of the workers.
That sounds like what many are saying, which is that it's about how the money is spent, not just simply spending a bunch of money.
That's correct.
All right, Dr. Kim, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thanks so much for sharing your insights.
Thank you very much.